Hi, welcome to the Girl Scouts STEM program, Short and Snappy. My name is Kate Hood, and I am the Troop Experience Manager over the STEM program. This Short and Snappy should last about 15 minutes, and through that time, you will get a glimpse at what our national STEM outcomes and goals are. We'll also talk through some common misconceptions around STEM and how our new STEM program works with the Volunteer Toolkit and how to facilitate STEM programming with your Girl Scouts. So our national outcomes are to increase STEM interest, confidence, and competence in Girl Scouts. And we want to make sure that girls also understand the value of STEM in society. So how does STEM connect to the real world? Our national goal is for 1 in every 2.5 girls to earn a STEM badge, or 3 in 4 girls earning a STEM award, which is either a journey or a badge. So when you think about STEM, a lot of people think about a white lab coat and a science lab with chemicals all over the place, or a rocket scientist building something that's going into outer space. But there are a lot of jobs out there in STEM, and we want to make sure that girls know that that's a viable pathway for them. About 93% of STEM jobs pay more than the national average, which may not be a surprise, but then whenever you think about that, a lot of the STEM career pathways don't involve an advanced degree or even a 4-year bachelor's degree. There are a lot of STEM professionals that either don't need to have a college pathway whenever they first start out, or they can get a 2-year associate's degree and still earn a lot more than some of their peers that went a 4-year traditional college pathway route. The STEM jobs are just continuing to grow. There are going to be more STEM jobs in the next 5 and 10 years than any other career field, with computer IT jobs and technical jobs, as well as engineers with the highest gains. So the STEM skills that people hiring into those positions later on, when your girls start entering the workforce, they are maybe not the ones that you would traditionally think of. There's going to be a big growth in the agriculture field as we try to figure out the best way to work with the weather and soil changes and climate changes to make sure that we are growing enough food to feed our growing population. Medicine is something that's continuing to advance at a rapid rate with new medications and treatments and ways to predict illnesses, and just a lot of different things there. And then another one that I think there is a huge growth potential for is disaster relief. As natural disasters happen, how do we best meet the needs of those impacted? And STEM can play a huge role in that. So how does a STEM activity or program help you? STEM gives you a lot of different skills that aren't just content-based in the subject that you're studying. Most STEM activities require some problem solving and creativity. With Girl Scouts, a lot of them are also done in teams, so you build a way of communicating and a better understanding of how to work as a team. And STEM always teaches you how to think. And that critical thinking ability is something that will go with girls no matter what career field they end up picking. So, girls interested in STEM, I'm going to give you a minute to skim through these lists. And as you think about the girls in your troop, I would bet that you could identify 1 or 2 things on these lists that matches up with each girl in your troop. Thinking about those girls that have a great wild imagination. That's great for problem solving and coming up with new ways to do something. That girl that's more civically minded and maybe is concerned about feeding the hungry. There are things that can happen in STEM fields that could help improve those potential problems in our community. And then if you think about your girl that is more adventurous and she loves being active and ziplining, there's a lot of STEM that goes into doing those things as well. And then you as a troop leader, if you are sitting here thinking, STEM is just not what I'm interested in. I did not do well in math and science, or it wasn't my thing. That doesn't matter. There is no limit to the things that you can get out of doing STEM without being that STEM expert. If you look through this list, I'm sure that you'll see at least a couple things here that you could identify with. I think that love to learn is common with troop leaders. You're just as excited to learn something new right beside your girls as they are. I think one of the most important things on this list is in the middle, second from the bottom, teaching your girls how to fail. That is something that is a lifelong lesson no matter what they get into later on in life. Learning how to fail at something and figuring out their way out, whether it's gathering more resources or trying something a new way or rethinking the process that they had and having a chance to try something again is such an important skill moving forward. And Girl Scouts within their troop is the perfect place to practice that and to gain those skills. And then in that last list, trying new things and overcoming obstacles. Any STEM activity you do is a little messy, and giving girls a chance to try some new stuff and not follow a set of directions, but getting a little creative and going off that beaten path is always a good way to approach STEM. So there's a couple different ways you can do STEM with your girls. The two programmatic ways from Girl Scouts of the USA is journeys, which are STEM plus leadership. There's a leadership element in those. And then badges, which are skill building. So with the journeys, they get a chance to discover and connect to the content area. There's some hands-on activities, and they get a chance to think about how those activities and what they've learned connects to their community. And then where the leadership element comes in is through that Take Action project, which we'll go over more in a few more slides, but that's where they practice being a leader. With the STEM badges, those are specific skills that they are learning, whether it's a home scientist badge and they are learning a little bit about kitchen chemistry and how acids and bases react with each other, or they are learning about cybersecurity and how to stay safe online. These are skills that will help build their confidence as they touch on those subjects in school or later on in life. So the STEM journeys have changed a little bit. If you've been a leader in the past, the journeys were a much longer undertaking. The ones that are in the volunteer toolkit now have been rewritten to be about 6 meetings, which is still a significant chunk of your Girl Scout year. But there are a variety of ways you can make that work into the schedule that you have with your girls. You can do the meetings as they are written exactly and be wrapping up after 6 meetings, or you can take a look at the programming, and if you're headed to camp for a weekend, you can knock out several of those meetings in one sitting where you've got all of your girls together. They have some time to work on some activities and think through that take action project. Or you can set aside a day where maybe the girls don't have school or they have an early dismissal and have a longer troop meeting to tackle some of these things. You can also check out our community programs resources to see if there's a field trip that would meet the needs of some of these meetings. And if you want help with this, you can either contact me, and I'll give you my information at the end, or you can contact your local troop experience manager if you have questions about how to schedule out and plan for this journey. So I had mentioned earlier that the leadership piece is that take action guide in the journeys. And one of the best things about the journeys now are these take action guides. I think it's my favorite document or resource for troop leaders now. Basically, it is a step-by-step guide to walk you through how to get your girls to think about problems in their community that they want to solve. It gives you examples of potential problems that they might come up with and then potential solutions, so you can see the scale of the project they can think about and what's age appropriate. And then at the end of each guide, there is a list of different ways they can take action. It could be something like performing a skit for parents or a community group, making a commercial. Maybe it's making a presentation to a school official if it's a problem within their school community. But this gives you a list of tangible projects that they can do in order to take action. It's a great resource. It's also available as a PDF, so you can save it to your desktop computer or save it as a document on your electronic devices. You can also print it out or email it to people, so everyone can take a look at it. These guides are for Daisy, Brownies, and Juniors. They're directed to the troop leader. The older girls have something that is so incredibly age appropriate. At that cadet and up level, girls should be taking more of an active role in planning their programming. So the take action guide at this older girl level is written to the girls, and it walks them through how to do it. So if you are a cadet, senior, or ambassador leader, you can hand this to your girls and let them do the heavy. This is an example of one of the pages in that older girl take action guide, and it's a decision bracket. So you think about what are the different options for problems and what are the ways that you could potentially solve that problem? What are you really good at? And then just like any other decision bracket, you fill it out to the point of getting to what you identify as your most important problem that you want to solve and how you're going to solve it. So with any STEM programming, whether it's a journey or a badge or you're planning something fun for camp, these are some general STEM facilitation tips that I would offer you. If your girls ask you a question, try to answer it with another question. So if they ask you, what's the best material to build this bridge with? Why don't you return that question with a question of, have you tried 2 or 3 different things to figure out which one is the best? I don't know which one's the best. So why don't you take a look at this or ask someone else to help you with this? I always say that asking open-ended questions gives more detailed response than a closed-ended question. And this one's important. Giving girls a chance to test and problem solve and retest gives them that chance to build those skills that we talked about earlier, whether it's critical thinking, problem solving. We want them to get that time to process. With all good STEM things, if their hands are working on things, their minds are actively engaged. It goes hand in hand. And then what you can do is bring a spirit of curiosity. You do not have to be the expert in whatever the girls are doing. If the girls pick to do the programmer journey and you've never written a line of code, that's perfect because they will be learning right beside you. And if you approach the content with just as much curiosity as they do, they'll see that they're going to continue to be lifelong learners as well. That whenever they are a grown-up like their troop leader, they won't have all of the answers, and that they will still have to actively be learning in order to be improving. The next few slides I'm going to go through fairly quickly. You can screenshot or screen grab these if you are a Daisy leader. These are your STEM options at the moment. And then we've got the same options or the same layout for the brownies. Feel free to screenshot if this one applies to you. And these are all located in the volunteer toolkit. There will be more options coming out in the summer of 2019, and we will update this accordingly at that point. So here's your junior resources, your cadet resources, seniors, and ambassadors. So through this, we touched on those national outcomes and wanting to make sure that every Girl Scout gets a solid STEM experience through Girl Scouting. We talked a little bit about misconceptions around STEM and how there are a lot of different ways you can be engaged in STEM without going that traditional white lab coat, lots of chemicals, misconception that's commonly around. We talked a little bit about our new STEM programming and how the Volunteer Toolkit has those resources, especially that Take Action Guide. I would make sure you bookmark that. And then how to facilitate STEM programming with your girls. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch. You can reach out to me at kate.hood@gsksmo.org, or you can send an email to this Troop Experience email address here. If there are other short and snappy topics that you would like to see in the future, please feel free to send suggestions to this email as well. We know that you have a lot on your plate as a troop leader, and I am so glad that you took the time to watch this short and snappy. Thank you so much, and have a great day.